Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
We're doing some research for the month of March, so therefore it's our research unit. And I know, Stephanie, you're a big fan of plants. You always mention the fact that you've got plants in your house and you just love them.
I love them.
And my wife likes plants as well. But I've heard people say that if you have a lot of plants in your house, it will clean the air. But I've been kind of skeptical about that. Is that really true?
You'd have to have a ton of plants in your apartment or your house to actually have them clean the air. So no, that's not why I have plants. I have plants because they look pretty.
I've also noticed that people have plants set outside their houses.
Yeah.
If they live on the first floor of
That's
an apartment building or something,
yeah,
they'll set them outside. Because if they don't do that, guess what? Someone's going to park their car there or their scooter there.
Oh, is that why they do that?
I'm guessing that's the reason. They just don't want all those cars and scooters blocking their path or whatever. But in any case here, there are various reasons for people to have plants. I think my wife likes them because it just gives her a sense of fulfillment. You know, hey, I'm dealing with these living things here. I feed them, I take care of them,
they're
they
pretty.
Survive and they're pretty. So yeah, they can give you an immense sense of satisfaction. But today we're kind of addressing the myth of houseplants, and the myth is about do these houseplants really clean the air inside your house? Well, let's take a look at this particular concern. Let's read through the entire contents of our lesson right now.
With today's booming demand for Instagram-worthy plants and the growing practice of indoor gardening, houseplants have become an explosive trend. Beyond their visual appeal, these plants are often sought after for their most commonly celebrated virtue, ridding the air of toxins. For decades, research seemed to show that houseplants were a great defense against pollutants. However, a new study has shown that this idea may not be as straightforward as it once seemed. To put houseplants' air-filtering ability to the test, engineering professor Michael Waring and his team at Drexel University investigated the subject. After reviewing 195 related past studies, they found that some species are able to cleanse the air of chemicals that are released by household products, such as nail polish and shampoo. However, for plants to make a notable difference, you'd need a massive number of them. According to Waring, if you worked in an office that was about 3 square meters in size, you'd need to fill it with 1,000 plants to reach the same air cleaning effect as the average office ventilation system. Still, while it may not be realistic to expect your houseplants to enhance a room's air quality, there are a number of advantages to be considered when adding them to your home or workspace. Research has shown that people manage stress better and experience a boost in their mood. What's more, their concentration and productivity are significantly improved when they're around greenery. Plus, certain plants like Boston ferns act as natural humidifiers, a great solution for indoor spaces in dry climates. In these ways, including a touch of vegetation in your environment could do wonders for your life, though perhaps in different ways than you might have imagined.
All right, let's get to it. Let's explain the contents of today's lesson. Yes, we've got this surprising myth, but we also have some merits of houseplants. So there's this myth concerning houseplants. A myth is basically something that people believe, but it's not true. Of course, we've got Greek and Roman myths, the stories of the gods and goddesses. We all know they're not true. They're just myths.
We also have something else in the title here, the word merit, and it's one of our vocabulary words. It's a noun. A merit is some sort of quality of being really good or worthy, deserving praise, Oh, the merits. Sometimes you talk about the merits of a project. If you're at work, your boss might want to hear about the merits of going forward with a project. You know, what are the good things we might get out of this if we were to go ahead and do it? But we're going to talk about the merits of houseplants and also the myth that is really famous that people love to talk about. It is a pretty famous myth. I know that when I was growing up, I always heard that plants just made your air better. But we're going to find out that that is indeed a myth. It's not true. Let's get started.
Okay, so the first paragraph here begins by saying, with today's booming demand for Instagram-worthy plants and the growing practice of indoor gardening, houseplants have become an explosive trend. So it's booming here, this demand for plants. People want those plants. If you run a plant store in some kind of plant market or something, you're probably making a lot of money nowadays because people just love to buy those plants. And they love to take pictures of those plants and share them on social media, such as Instagram here. So these plants are worthy of Instagram, or they are Instagram worthy. Again, they're worthy of being photographed to post on Instagram. And then, of course, people are enjoying indoor gardening, especially in big cities like Taipei, maybe Kaohsiung and Taichung. You just don't have the space for a real garden outside of your apartment or house, so you do it indoors. Maybe you do it on your balcony, but maybe even do it on your shelves in your living room.
Yeah, I have some pretty big plants out on my balcony that love the sun. You want to make sure you have the right kind of plants, depending on which side of the house you have a garden on. If there's a lot of sun, it gets pretty hot here in Taiwan. You better have some tough or hardy plants. Hardy just means able to go through some tough times and still survive. Maybe you have a hardy immune system. You are pretty good at not getting sick, which is wonderful. Hardy is Hearty, hardy. So, yeah, you want to put the right plants in the right spaces. So there's a booming or big demand for beautiful looking Instagram or IG worthy plants. You guys would say IG. And people are getting into indoor gardening. Now, beyond or beside their visual appeal, they look really pretty. That's why they're appealing or appeal to people. These plants are often sought after for their most commonly celebrated virtue. If you have a virtue, it's something that you do that's quite, it's good. People admire that. It's something good about you. Maybe you are always honest or always on time or always loyal to friends. Those are types of virtues you might have. Well, these plants, they're supposed to have this virtue of ridding the air of toxins. If you rid something of something else, it means you throw it away, you dispose of it. You don't want it. To rid something of something else. I want to rid my apartment of cockroaches, 蟑螂, which I hate. They're my least favorite bug. Anyway, rid the air of toxins. Toxins are poisons. So these houseplants, I mean, that's the big myth, guys. Tom, they're supposed to get rid of your bad air.
Yeah, they're supposed to rid the air of toxins. Toxins, of course, are poisonous substances that come from various places. And so, yeah, you want to get rid of all the pollution in your house and your apartment. So, yes, that's something that people claim about plants. Hey, if you got the bad air in your house, just put some plants in there and you'll be okay. Now, for decades, research seemed to show that houseplants were a great defense against pollutants. Okay, so yes, research has been going on for a long time, and I guess a lot of research has said that houseplants are good for the air inside your house. And this has been going on for decades. A decade, of course, is a period of 10 years. So if you say something has been going on for decades, you're saying at least 20 years, maybe 30, maybe 40, maybe even 50.
Yeah, so that's what the research is showing. Remember, this is a research article, and we've got some scientists, some researchers who looked into this, and they can tell us, based on their research results, that these plants really can't rid the air of toxins the way we thought they could. So, as Tom said, for decades, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, research seemed to show the research was just the opposite, right? The results from research long ago seemed to show that houseplants were a great defense against pollutants. Now, of course, in today's world, we have so many machines and cars and things that just pollute the air and water. It's pretty hard. Or even your house, because those pollutants come in through the window and the doors that open and shut. So a pollutant is just something that's poisonous, some sort of substance that's poisonous, and you want to get rid of it.
However, a new study has shown that this idea may not be as straightforward as it once seemed. In other words, this research might be misleading. Yes, it might be true that having plants in your house can clean the air, but you need to look at the details a little more to understand it, and that's what we'll do in just a couple of seconds. But right now, we're going to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。不晓得你有没有在自己的书桌上啊，或者是房间种一点什么绿色的东西，让自己心情很好呢？像我们家其实就种了蛮多的。那我们会觉得说种这些东西好像可以让空气比较好一点，但是真的是这样吗？我们来看一下今天的文章。我们来看一下，我们常喜欢 po 上 IG， 值得 po 上 IG 这个形容词，可以稍微记一下，叫做 Instagram worthy。值得上传 IG 的。好，但是这一段的第二句话还蛮重要的，因为在一开始的这个 beyond 这个字我们感觉不是很熟悉。beyond 的本来是高度的，或者是深度的，或量上面或值上面的一种超越。还有什么什么，所以其实它有一种 besides 之意。当然绿色的东西我们看起来就是漂亮嘛，但是除了这样子的一个 visual appeal 之外啊，这些绿色的植物通常会很受欢迎，因为有什么优点呢？这里特别一定要把三个字抓出来， be 动词 are 跟后面的 sought after。 我们看一下 sought 这个字哦，它本来动词原形是 seek S-E-E-K， 那么它的动词三态是 seek, sought, sought， 字面上是被寻找。什么东西如果会大家一直去找它，就表示大家都需要它，都很喜欢它，所以其实有受欢迎的意思。好，那到底有什么样的 virtue 呢？第一个，什么样的 virtue？ 这个 virtue 就是所谓的优点，跟我们在 title 当中提到的 merit 优点是一样的意思。这个优点就是我们觉得空气会比较好啊，这个大家都知道嘛。所以根据这个文意的话呢，第一格应该要选 F celebrated， 在这里指的是 famous 有名的意思哦。好，那么后面的 rid of破折号之后的 rid of 指的是删除、撇开、去除的意思。接下来这句话的文意当中，我们看到 pollutant 在最后一个字当中的 pollutant 前面又有一个 against 抵抗、对抗的意思，所以前面的第二格呢，应该用的是 defense J 这个选项。那么但是啊，在第一段最后面出现了一个转折，新的研究却好像推翻了这样的想法，因为好像不是那么简单呢。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue our lesson. Where we left off, we said that there has been some research that we've heard about for decades that has said that having houseplants in your house can rid your air of toxins. It can get rid of those pollutants. But again, we've got a new study coming out that tells us that, yeah, this information kind of needs to be looked at more closely. So here in the next paragraph, it says, to put houseplants' air filtering ability to the test, engineering professor Michael Waring and his team at Drexel University investigated the subject. So be careful here because we've got a pattern here to put something to the test. In other words, we have this idea or this thing, but we really don't know if it can do what people say it can do. So you need to test it out. So yeah, you're going to put something to the test. I'm just developed a new smartphone, for example, but I don't know if it works. So I'm going to put it to the test. I'm going to turn it on and see if it works.
Going to test it out. Yeah, notice here that phrase is quite split up, guys. Your put is at the beginning of the sentence, and then to the test is there right before the comma. But the phrase is to put something to the test. What are they putting to the test? Houseplants' air filtering ability. That's what they're testing. So, yeah, we use that phrase quite often. Maybe you've been watching commercials and they all... maybe about batteries. You want to buy the best battery you can. You might want to put them to the test, buy different brands and see which brand lasts the longest. Sometimes it's actually the consumer who puts products to the test. Don't always believe the advertisements or commercials. So they put this air filtering ability to the test. And we had a guy named Michael Waring. He's an engineering professor. And he worked with a team, probably a team of graduate students at a university called Drexel University. And they investigated the subject. So when you talk about something that can filter, or something that is a filtering device, it means it's got the ability to keep bad things out. It usually is a device that removes pollutants or impurities or even solid particles. I have a filter that I use for water at home, and I put the water in there and it filters out all the pollutants and the toxins and the bad stuff. And so I'm drinking cleaner water after I put it through a filter. So a filter can be a noun and a verb. So here we're using it to describe this ability that houseplants are supposed to have, an air filtering ability.
Yep, filtering there. It's being used as a verb, as you said. And you also said this can also be used as a noun. Like when you get your oil changed in your car, you need to get rid of the old oil. And then you put on a new oil filter. And then you put new oil in your engine. And you're good to go for another 5,000 kilometers or whatever. So yeah, we've got Michael Waring here and his team at Drexel University in Philadelphia. And they took a look at this particular subject. Now, after reviewing 195 related past studies, they found that some species are able to cleanse the air of chemicals that are released by household products, such as nail polish and shampoo. So indeed, they did find some information here that said that some kinds of plants, some species, can actually clean the air or cleanse the air of chemicals. I guess you could say they could rinse the air of chemicals. It can basically get the chemicals out of the air. And these are chemicals that might be released by household products, things that you find in your house every day, household products. You could have household appliances, for example, like your gas stove, your refrigerator, your microwave oven. Those are household appliances. And the chemicals that can be removed from the air include nail polish, which ladies use a lot, and shampoo, which washes your hair.
Yeah, the household also refers to the people who live in a house. So here in Taiwan, they might ask you how many are in your household. They might ask you that in Chinese and not English. But how many live in your household? You might have grandparents there, maybe just your kids. It depends. So, yeah. I have a lot of nail polish and shampoo smells that I wish my houseplants would get rid of, but they don't. Actually, my shampoo smells good, but nail polish doesn't really smell very good.
It's pretty strong, isn't it?
Yeah, my brothers hated it. So for plants to make a notable or a big difference, if it's a notable difference, it means you can see or smell or taste a difference. If it's not notable, it's so small, Nobody even notices. But to make a notable difference, you'd need a ton of plants, a massive number. And here, according to the Professor Waring, if you worked in an office that was really quite small, 3 square meters in size, you'd need to fill it with 1,000 plants, which is crazy to reach the same air cleaning effect as your average office ventilation system. I think most of us have those, air purifier machines at home. I have one.
And this is a really small office here,
Yeah.
only 3 square meters. How could you possibly fit 1,000 plants in that small space?
You couldn't unless you had really, really high ceilings.
I can imagine that, and then you'd have to have really high shelves as well. How could you possibly reach all those plants to water them?
No, forget it.
Forget it. You're not going to have 1,000 plants in your 3 square meter office there. But I guess they are telling us that, yes, plants do clean the air, but you got to have thousands of them to do the job. Nobody's willing to do that. And yes, indeed, you could just use your average office ventilation system, which could be your central air conditioning system. It could also be just simply your air conditioner. It brings in fresh air from outside and takes the old air out. That is how we ventilate a room, how we circulate air in a room.
Still, while it may not be realistic to expect your houseplants to enhance a room's air quality, there are a number of advantages to be considered when you're thinking about adding them to your home or office. So if you want to enhance something, guys, that's a verb. Just means you want to make something better. Maybe you're trying to enhance the effectiveness of your project or some sort of product that you're producing. You want to make it better than it is currently. So you might want to increase its effectiveness. You might want to improve something about it, improve the quality, improve the value. So to enhance just means to make something better than it is currently.
Okay, so yes, there are lots of advantages to consider when you add plants to your home or workspace. Research has shown that people manage stress better and experience a boost in their mood. So if you have a high-pressure job and you have plants at home, you might feel relaxed when you go home, and it will help you relieve stress. And it will make you have a better mood. What's more, or in addition, also, their concentration and productivity are significantly improved when they're around greenery. Now, here, productivity or productivity, you can pronounce it both ways, just refers to how productive you are, how much stuff you can get done in a short amount of time.
Yeah, how productive you are. If you're very productive, your boss is going to love you. And if you're not productive, not a good position to be in. So there are certain plants, for example, the Boston fern. Those are pretty. They act as natural humidifiers, so they add some water to the air, which is kind of nice. That's a great solution if you live in an indoor space that feels dry to you. I'm not sure any indoor space in Taiwan feels dry. It's so humid here. But we had Boston ferns in my home in Arizona, which is very dry. And they grow beautifully there too. So in these ways that we've talked about, by including a touch of vegetation, that's just greenery. Things that grow, that's vegetation. If you add some vegetation in your environment, it could do wonders for your life. Kind of be a miracle in some ways, I guess, though perhaps in different ways than you might have imagined. So, maybe you're not a big houseplants person. That's okay. Just buy one. See how that one plant makes you feel. Some people really don't have a green thumb, meaning they don't really do well with plants. My mom would kill all the plants I bought her. I tried again and again. She would forget to water them or water them too often. But I love plants. It's just something that I love. She loved different things. She could paint and sew. So everyone has different interests and hobbies. But see if a house plant you buy makes you a little happier.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of aloe vera plants in our house, and it's very difficult to kill them.
Yeah.
They seem to survive anything. Okay,
True.
That brings us to the end of our lesson for today. But first, we need to hear again from our Chinese teacher.
那么为了要去研究这样子到底有没有清净空气的这种功能，就有一个教授呢叫做 Michael Warren， 那么他就第三格什么这样子的主题，所以第三格呢应该是放一个动词，这个动词它应该就是一个研究主题啦或探究这种主题的意思，所以第三格答案选 D investigated。 那么它是先review 就是回顾了过去的一些研究，然后发现呢有一些品种的确有清洁空气当中化学物质的功能。第四格 are 什么什么 by household products， 所以第四格这边我们选一个 PP， 根据文意上面我们来看到的是，就是因为有一些家庭的常用的产品会释放一些有毒的 chemicals， 所以第四格答案应该选 A。 好，但是呢为了要让植物去有这种显著的造成一些空气清净的差异，你一定要怎么样？关键就在 however 这个字，所以第五格到底要种多少的室内植物，这个 number 有多少呢？一定比想象当中多很多，所以第五格在 number 前面的形容词我们选 I 这个答案。所以根据这个教授如果你只是办公室差不多有3平方公尺的话，你就要种1000盆的植物才能够 reach， 才能够达到接下来我们看第6格这句话，才能够 reach 达到 the same air cleaning 什么同样清净空气的什么东西 as 介系词如同好像一般在我们办公室当中的通风系统一样，所以才能达到那种效果。第6格选 B effect， 它是个名词。好，最后一段呢我们看到 still 但是仍然就知道在结尾一定还是会提到绿色植物有很多的好处啦，所以第7格再加上前面有一个否定，虽然并不是那么答案1并不是那么切合实际，就是你真的希望种那几盆绿色的小植物，你的空气品质就会很好，但是还是有很多的 advantages， 例如我们在压力的处理上会比较好，然后我们在心情会比较好。在第8格整个文意因为已经转到了这种绿色植物它有很多的优点，所以第2格在 mood 心情上面一定会有很好的增加，所以第8格选 boost 是最好的。不过第9格也是跟着前面的文意来说，例如我们的 concentration 专注度啦 productivity 生产力啦也会显著的变好更多增加。第9格还是这种正面的动词 are improved， 所以第9格答案选 C 是最好的。当然最后面的第10格我们就只有剩那么一个答案 imagined， 但是呢整篇的文章其实是告诉我们种绿色植物还是有很多的优点哦。以上是我们今天的课程，我是安娜，我们明天见，拜拜。
That's it for today, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And hey, buy some plants and put them in your house. They'll improve your mood and they'll help you relieve stress, but they probably won't clean the air. You better open the window for that. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.